All right, it looks like we've had some more people be able to get on, and we have a good amount of people on. So we'll just go ahead and get started. We want to make sure we save as much time as we can for the presentation today. But I just wanted to thank you all for joining JMT Consulting for our webinar today. My name is Megan Mendiola, and I am a Regional Marketing Coordinator here at JMT. We're happy to have several of our friends from Altec here to lead us in our webinar today. They're going to teach us how DocLink can help your organization digitally manage your documents and data. I will introduce them to you here in a second. First, I wanted to let you know this webinar is sponsored by JMT Consulting. We are an ERP and financial management solutions consulting firm with 28 years of experience specializing in nonprofits. And we work with a wide variety of software partners to find the best solution for your nonprofit. I'd like to share just a few housekeeping notes with you all. If you have any questions during the webinar today, please go ahead and submit them into the question and answer portion on your control panel. We're going to save those questions until the end of the webinar, but please don't hesitate to go ahead and submit those as you think of them. Also, today's webinar recording and slides will be emailed to you within 24 hours following the conclusion of today's webinar. Finally, I would like to introduce you to Laura and Himanshu from Altec to everyone. Laura is a sales director at Altec, and she will be getting our presentation started today. Himanshu is a sales engineer at Altec, and he'll be showing us a demo today. And with that, I won't take up any more of their time, so I'll go ahead and turn it over to Laura to get us started.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you so much, everyone, for the opportunity. Before we get started, we're going to take a quick polling from you folks. So the question should be popping on the screen right now. Okay.
Perfect. And you should see those now.
Yeah, there we go. And just to share with us, why are you attending the webinar today? Are you looking for solution to meet more of your remote workforce needs? Are you learning benefits of going paperless and automation and streamlining your business process? Maybe how DocLink can be used within different department within your organization for the nonprofit sector. Or maybe it's all the above. Share with us. Let us know what would you like to learn today. All you have to do is just click on one of those options and press submit.
Perfect. And we're getting some votes in, Laura, but we'll kind of share those results after we've had all our answers in. So if you want to go to the next couple of questions, and then we can share results at the end.
Sure. All right, so today we're going to talk about why go paperless, okay? The challenges that you're encountering and the benefits of paperless. And then what is DocLink? Some of you may have heard of DocLink, others not, so definitely DocLink. And then we're going to give you some sample example of how the system can be used within your organization. Most, start with accounts payable. And then also how DocLink can be used within other business units within your organization. And we're going to share with you some customer examples as well. So earlier this year, there was a recent research done by Forbes, indicating that in the business world today is twice the number of people are working remotely in North America. Now that was before COVID. Imagine today, the number, the percentage of staff that are working remotely today. So I guess the question for you now, here's another polling question, is what is your biggest challenge working remotely? Is it able to access the data and information from home as you're working remotely? Are you not able to track and route documents for review and approval and have timely approval? Maybe is able to access all the document associated, with the documents and able to send it out to your customers. Maybe your management team, trying to execute contract and now working remotely. Do they have to print it out, sign it, scan it back in? How can we do it paperless? And then also maybe some of you are looking to automate your AP process or maybe streamline your expense report management. And maybe there are other needs. Share with us, what are your biggest challenges today while you're working remotely? So we'll have that result at the end.
Yeah, we're getting some good responses here. So yeah, we'll have the results at the end after the last two questions.
Okay. So in the last couple of years or so, you've heard the buzzword going around, digital transformation. Okay, what is that? And so, and especially now with our current situation, is going digital is critical because it gives us the ability to connect the people to the document that you're having to work on, to process on a daily basis, and the data that goes along with it, and taking advantage of different tools and technology to compile and connect all those information. So how does it work? Okay. With DocLink? So with DocLink it's electronic, think of it as a electronic filing solution, where a place where you're going to be able to store all your information. Okay. First is you need to capture and bring those data into this electronic cabinet. Now we're going to have to show you there's different options, but of course, scanning to OCRing to importing your emails and barcode methods. So there are different options, but to ways to store information into the system. Okay. And of course, some documents need to be routed around for review and approval and action to take upon. So we're going to introduce to you workflow, because the purpose of workflow is give you visibility to the documents from anywhere around the world. It also tracks the approval, so you know where the document's at, who's working on it, how long it's going to take before it's completed, and an audit trail of who approved off on that $10,000 invoice 2 years ago. Also give you the ability for searching of documents, not only within DocLink, but within your ERP as well, through logging into the software, through the mobile app and the web client. But then also certain documents you generate in-house need to be sent out to your customers or vendors. So how can we do it automatically? So automated delivery of documents along with supplemental documents to go with it. But at the end of the day is we're talking about Intacct, right? All of you folks have Intacct. So with DocLink, our system is fully code integrated with Intacct. So data is being passed back and forth between the two applications in real time. You will be able to access the documents within Intacct, but you also will be able to access document within DocLink as well, because you have a lot of staff that don't have access to Intacct. Additionally, is because a lot of your customers and vendor information is already in Intacct. So let's reuse that data to minimize data entry and to minimize data entry error. Now, I want to stress that DocLink is fully integrated with Intacct because there are a lot of product out there and they will tell you, oh yeah, we can integrate with your Intacct, okay? But they neglect to tell you that's still a process called screen scraping. So it's kind of like integration at the surface level. So when you upgrade Intacct or the other document management system, the integration gets broken. So you as a customer will need to pay to redo that integration. And unfortunately, it's cost that you're not going to be aware about until it's too late. But with DocLink is because we are partner with Intacct. Our system is fully code integrated. The two company works together. So before we come out with the new release, you know, we make sure everything's compatible so that when you do upgrade, you're not going to run into that incompatibility issues. Now, before we give you some examples of how you can use DocLink and the effort of going paperless, what department are you looking for to improve or enhance your process currently, to go paperless, to streamline, to automate the process? Okay, you're working home remotely. What documents are you not able to access that you have a need to access and to process? Now, some of you maybe represent a certain department. Others, you know, you might be representing the entire organization. So we'll share that result at the end. Okay, so we're going to give you some example today of how DocLink can be used in the effort of, like I said, working remotely and accessing those information. And the first to start will be accounts payable. We're going to cover account receivable, legal, and other area as well. Okay, so accounts payable. Why? I hear it every day. We can't get our invoice approved on time because our CFO is always on the road and he won't approve off on the invoice and we actually see the documents and all the supporting documents. And so we have to wait till he gets back to the office. By then it's ready, we're past due and we can't take advantage of early pay discount. Or we're spending too much time doing duplicate data entry. Or we can't track and know where the invoice is at in the process. Or it's audit time and we can't find all the documents associated, requested from the auditors. Those are just some example of challenges that we hear when it comes to AP. So how can we help you? Now, before that, let me give you some statistic, okay? In the old traditional paper process, I'm just for cost-wise, you're probably not aware of this, but your company is spending an average about $15 per invoice to process a invoice. By going paperless and automation, you're going to be able to reduce it down to about $3. And the time that it takes to process from the minute the invoice comes into to the house, all the way down to processing the payment. By average, it's taking 17 days. By going paperless and streamline, it's going to be down to about 4 days. And there are other, research result as well. But I just want to focus on those two areas because that's going to be your big return right there. Now, because we've been doing this for 30 years, we have over 4,000 clients worldwide. I would say about 85% of our clients start the system for AP automation. And we find that the process are typically similar, okay? Where, from when the invoice comes in to someone's opening up the mail, all the way down to cutting the payment and filing and searching up the documents, okay? So there's several steps that has to be done. So why not take advantage of technology, okay? Take advantage of tools to help remove or to perform some of those work effort for you. The tasks are still there, but let's take advantage of technology to do the work for you. So that way, by the end of the day, is all you folks now have to do now is just code the invoice, route it for approval. We're going to push all that coding information over to Intact so you don't have to do duplicate data entry, okay? And then, of course, is delivering all that data over to your ERP so it can be searchable. So we're going to give you an example in our demonstration today. So think about the process. Invoice comes in. So we're going to show you how we can handle invoice coming into the organization. Now it needs to be routed around for review and approval. We're going to show you how that can easily be done and how someone can easily approve off on an invoice from anywhere remotely. And then, of course, is that coding gets done, and then we import all that data over to the ERP, and then you process the payment. And then from there, of course, is able to access all those data. So we're going to demonstrate this area for you. So imagine if your vendor emailed the invoices to you, we have the ability to monitor your email server for specific email address. So anytime anything comes in, our system will automatically grabs it. And we're going to show you OCR today, how we can read the data on the invoice. It can do automated matching for you. And then we can store the invoice and the data into DocLink, and then workflow takes over, okay? And then workflow will notify the approvers. So all you need is access to email. You don't need to have access to the software. You're not tied to the office. You just need access to your email. And directly from your email, you can actually have access to the document, and you can actually approve directly from your email as well. There's also other methods to approve from your mobile app, the DocLink mobile app device, and also from DocLink web as well. Also the ability for you to go in and track and know exactly where the invoice in the process. So you can go in here and see that we have an invoice sitting at the CFO's desk for approval. Here I have some invoice that's at the IT and the CEO. What about delegation? What if you're going to be on vacation for 2 weeks? Well, our system will give you the ability to delegate your work when you're out during that period. So the document doesn't sit there, being delayed. Also, the system with the workflow, it will track the approvers, who approved it, what day, what time, and also any notes. Okay. And here's, we have the invoice, and you also have the ability to do coding in DocLink as well, which we are going to demonstrate for you. At the end of the day, once we push all that data over to Intact, you process the payment. We're going to automatically capture a copy of the payment, and we're going to store this payment into the system, and we're going to link this payment to all the associated invoices. So that way, later on, when Mr. Vendor calls up, hey, Megan, I sent you an invoice 2 months ago, what's going on? Megan go into the system, type in an invoice number. If it's been paid, Megan will see a payment date and a payment number. If Megan has security permission, Megan will have access to a copy of that payment. If she has further permission, she can email me a copy of that payment as proof that it's been paid. It's that simple. So with that said, I'm going to pass this over to Himanshu, who's going to actually give you a live demonstration of the system, starting with capturing of documents and going through the process. Himanshu, back to you.
Perfect. Thank you, Laura. And once again, thank you, team, for joining us here today. That was a great presentation, Laura, so far. And as Laura mentioned, what we are going to focus on in today's part of the presentation is primarily accounts payable. So we're going to go through a use case of onboarding an invoice, bringing it into the OCR part of the process, be able to read information off of the document, and then be able to route that document for any kind of workflow approval process. Eventually, once that information is approved, we will be able to import it into Intact and give that seamless capability of being able to view the document, be it from Intact directly, or to be able to go in DocLink and review the information from there. So let's start with that. The first part is going to be the onboarding of the document. And there are a lot of different ways we can onboard invoices. For example, we can have an email account that can be monitored by our system, automatically bringing in the attachments, be able to send those attachments into the OCR part of the process, and start reading information off of that document. We have other capabilities and modules, for example, be able to read the information from barcode. If there are other documents that are related with the barcode, we can read information off of those barcode documents and bring them into the system as well. Based on the barcode, automatically assign the metadata to that document. So in case of email, when the document is sent to an email account, system will automatically bring that document in, and what it'll do is it'll send that document into the OCR part of the process. OCR stands for Optical Character Recognition. And the whole idea with OCR is to be able to automatically read information off of the document, so as a user, you don't have to sit there and key in different pieces of information. So what you're looking at this point is the OCR information that has been captured automatically from the document. Talking to some of the sales engineers and customers at Jain, what we have found out that in the past, OCR has been not so responsive, has not been so accurate with reading off information. And one thing I'd like to point out with our OCR technology that we use, the information that we can read or extrapolate from the document, it's amazing that right from the get-go, system is automatically able to identify that information. So let's dive deeper into that piece, because that seemed to be a critical point of making decision as to OCR makes sense for your documents or not. Number one, I'd like to be upfront and honest about OCR process. It's as good as the quality of the document. So if you have your majority of the invoices coming in electronically into an email, or if you have invoices that are scanned in, there is a good chance that OCR will be able to capture majority of the pieces of information. So in this example, as you can see, what we are looking at is the document that was automatically, number one, captured from the email. On the left-hand side, system shows you the document that's part of that batch. Middle of the screen on the left-hand side, what you can see is the information that's being automatically captured from the document. And on the right-hand side of the screen, what you're looking at is the document that has been completely read through the OCR process. The unique thing about our OCR is making corrections or changes, it's fairly simple. So let's say if we take an example of invoice number. When I come here, select the invoice number field, as you can see, system will automatically highlight the information where it's being captured from. So it shows me that the invoice number is being captured from this region on the bottom left. And for some reason, if let's say I decide to make changes or modify, I don't want that to be my invoice number. It's something as simple as just coming here and pointing and clicking on the piece of information to make those updates or changes. So let's say if I want to change my invoice number to be, for example, the dollar amount that we have here. To make that modification, all I need to do is point and click on that piece of information, and that's all it takes. So if I go right back to my invoice number, as you can see, it's now updated to 9,000. So that's how easy it can be when you're making those modifications and changes using point and click indexing, number one. And number two is when you're making those modifications, you're also training the system at the same time. Next time when DocLink come across this invoice, it will remember to capture the information from that location. So you're not having to go through and make those modifications over and over again. So that's the part of our process of being able to, number one, automatically capture the information from the document. And number two is when you make the modifications for the incorrect information captured by the process, all you need to do is just point and click, training the system at the same time to be able to remember that information for future. So that's the beauty of utilizing our OCR technology. Again, going right back to the correct invoice number, all I need to do is point and click on that piece of information, and that's all it takes. And now my invoice number has been updated to the correct invoice number, as you can see. So that's the idea behind OCR. Since this is our non-PO invoice, which is not a purchase order-based document, we're not really capturing the line level detail, but something to keep in mind, if you are processing purchase order-based invoices, we can even capture line level information to be able to match it against your purchase order, against your shipping and receiving. So that way, the two-way and three-way matches that are done by individuals can be automated by the system as well. Moving on to the next step in process, all I need to do once I'm done with my OCR piece or validating the information captured by OCR, I can send that document here to the next step in the process. Now, the step that I just showed you, something to keep in mind, is more of an exception handling step. And what that means is you do not have to do the validation of every single invoice. You will only be handling the ones where the information is not correctly captured. Majority of your invoices, as we saw in the previous case, will automatically fly through the OCR process and will be sent into the workflow directly for you to start working on those documents. Now what we are looking at here is our DocLink login screen. And something to keep in mind is that it's completely web-based technology. What that means is all you need to do is be able to access a website on any web browser, be it Chrome, Firefox, Safari, Internet Explorer, Microsoft Edge, and that's all it takes. So in my case, I'm using Google Chrome. Once I go to that web page, I can log in as the user. So in this case, I'm going to log in as Walter, who is our accounts payable person. Once I log in as the accounts payable user, what you see on the top here are different tabs. And those tabs are essentially defined based on your permission, based on what you can or cannot do in the system. One of the tabs that we have here is the workflow tab, and that's the one that we're going to start with. So I come here as the accounts payable user, select that workflow tab, and as I select it, on the left-hand side, system will show me the workflow that I have access to based on my permission. So accounts payable user has access to the accounts payable workflow, and the status that you see here, think of it like an electronic inbox, like an electronic bucket. So depending on what stage the document is in, it could be sitting in either unprocessed queue, it could be sitting in approved, ready for import, denied, so on and so forth. And as part of a highly configurable system that we offer, all of these workflow statuses, workflow queues can be defined based on your requirements, based on your business processes. So I will start with my unprocessed bucket here. Click on that search button. System will show me the list of documents that are sitting in for me to work on. And the document that's at the very end is the one that just came in for the non-PO invoice. So I can double click, open it up, and start working on that document. Now let's do a quick lay of the land of what we are looking at here on the screen. So what we have in the top section is our distribution stamp. And the idea with that distribution stamp is to be able to apply the GL account coding on this document without really having access to Intact. And that's a really powerful technology. We have had so many customers come to us just for this reason, because they don't want their end users to be accessing their ERP system. They don't want the employees getting into the ERP system, because they can do a substantial damage to the process by clicking on certain things that they're not supposed to be clicking on or entering information incorrectly. So having DocLink gives you the capability of controlling which user can access the system, ERP system, your Sage Intacct directly, and which user can still do the GL account coding on those invoices, but without getting directly into the Sage Intacct ERP. So that's the idea of having that distribution stamp on the top. In the middle of the screen, what you're looking at is the copy of the invoice itself. And on the right-hand side, what you're looking at is the document information section. Now, this document information section has multiple tabs. As you can see, we've got general, notes, workflow history, and audit history. Depending on users' permission, what they can or cannot do in the system, we can give them access to certain tabs and not to the others. Now, within this general tab, what you'll notice is that we have certain properties, for example, invoice header and footer information automatically indexed, or the metadata has been automatically entered through the OCR part of the process. So that's the beauty of using OCR. You don't have to sit there and enter in those pieces of information. Now, as part of the accounts payable team, let's say I'm responsible for going in and applying the rest of the pieces of information. For example, the GL account codes, the default departments and locations, so on and so forth. So all I need to do is come here on the top and be able to go in menu and start with the GL distribution by clicking on this create button. As soon as I do that, system will automatically populate certain details for me. And this is where I can come in and start applying the GL account codes. Now, there are two ways you can interface with this section. Option number one is you can flip between the tabs here, going into the details, be able to apply the GL account codes, or you can go to the far right and expand it in the full screen view. That's just my preference. I like to work in the full screen mode so I can expand it and see all the details in single shot. Here, as a user of the accounts payable team, or as part of, let's say, organization, as a department manager who's supposed to be entering the GL account codes, I can go right within the distribution stamp and apply the pieces of information. As I come in here and start populating these details, notice how I can click on those lookups and be able to enter the information. And as part of our seamless integration, that information is actually coming directly from the ERP system. It's coming from Sage Intacct. So the code level integration that Laura was talking about, this is part of it, where we can automatically bring in the information directly from Sage Intacct. Clicking OK, confirming the details. I can keep going and populating the details that are needed. I know there are two pieces of information that are required, as I can see with those asterisks, and I can come here and populate those two required fields. So I can come here, select my default department and the default location. The rest of the fields are optional, so if you would like to enter in those pieces of information, you're welcome to. But if you don't really have a need of entering all those different pieces, you can skip over those fields. Getting into the GL account codes. All I need to do is come here, click on Add button, and by doing so, I can enter the GL account codes here. So I can come here, select my GL account codes. So this is for computer equipment. And allocate my percentage. So as I come here and allocate my percentage to, let's say, 100%, system will automatically allocate the dollar amount. At the same time, if there are multiple GL account codes, I can easily add those GL account code lines by clicking on this add button. Now, one unique thing that DocLink offers is the capability of being able to create templates, and that's a really powerful technology. The idea with templates is being able to create a list of GL account codes that can be used on multiple invoices, or maybe the same invoice coming in every month. So using our templates technology, if I, let's say, create a list of GL account codes, what I can do is I can, on the top right here, click on the Save Template button. So as you can see, we've got this Save Template button. As I come here, click on that button, system will ask me, how would you like to save that template? So I will come here and name my template as monthly IT equipment. Hit that Save button. And what I've done by doing that saving of template, I've created that structure of GL account codes. So fast forward, when this next invoice comes in next month, I don't have to start from scratch. Let's say next month comes around, all I need to do is come here to the list of templates that I created. And when I click on that button of monthly IT template, notice how system will automatically populate that list of GL account codes for me. So it can be a huge time saver when you are processing those similar types of invoices. Working with nonprofit organizations, one of the common use case that I've personally come across is the taxation. There could be taxes on the invoices that are not supposed to be there. What we can do is we can create workflow rules and conditions where we can say, hey, if there is a tax on the invoice, then in that case, automatically send that document into a separate workflow process or separate workflow queue. So those are certain rules and conditions that we can apply as part of the business process. To keep this invoice simple, I'm just going to use one GL account code. And once I'm done here, all I need to do is stamp that information by clicking on the stamp button on the very top. Now, once I stamp that information, what happens is system, number one, will gray out those pieces of information. So that way I don't have to go back in or make any modifications by accident, by mistake. And number two is system will also add another page to this document where it will show you the GL account code information. So that's the beauty of having the DocLink GL account codes being able to be done outside of Sage Intacct, and at the same time, making sure that the information is completely accurate because it's coming from Sage Intacct. End of the day, the document will be sent for the approval process. So there are a couple of ways we can do that. We can create certain rules and conditions, and based off of that, we can automatically route the document. So for example, if the invoice is over, let's say, certain dollar amount, it needs to go not only to the department manager, but also to the executive approval. We can create those rules and conditions and automatically route the document to the right person. We also give flexibility to the user to be able to come here and select a person from a given queue of designated approvers. So in my case, let's say if I know this invoice needs to be approved by CFO, I can just select that person from the given drop-down list and hit that send button. Off that document goes to the CFO for approval. System will bring up the next invoice sitting in my queue. So as the accounts payable person, I can just keep going through that list, be able to see all those documents, and at the same time, apply the GL account codes right here in DocLink, send those documents out for approval with complete information. So that's the responsibility of, part of the accounts payable team. What I'm going to do next is switch my role and act as an approver. So as an approver, when the document is sent to that person, in our case, it's being sent to the IT manager or CFO. What happens behind the scene is we will automatically send an email notification to the manager, to the approver, telling him that, hey, you've got a new document for you to work on. So here's an example of that email where we are telling the user, you've got this new invoice for you to work on. We will also attach the copy of the invoice along with that email. So if I come in here, look at that copy of invoice, I can see that first page, which is essentially the copy of invoice. And if I scroll further down, I can see the GL account code distribution page. And that gives them the complete visibility of what this invoice is being coded with, what GL account codes are being applied to this document. In order to approve that invoice, there are a couple of options we have. We have DocLink mobile capability, where a user can be on their mobile devices. They can download the Android app or iOS app on their smartphones or on tablets and be able to approve those documents right within the app. Or we can have a link that will essentially open up the DocLink login screen. And this is where I can go in as the CFO this time, as an approver, be able to go into my workflow and approve those documents that are sent to me for approval. So here's the copy of that invoice that was sent to the CFO. I can open it up. I can see all the details, the GL account codes that were applied. If I have any questions or any comments, I can easily use DocLink notes feature to be able to add those comments and keeping that open communication channel, using DocLink as a great communication tool. So I can come here, click on that info button, be able to apply any notes. So I can say, please process this ASAP. And every single time when I apply those notes, notice how system will automatically apply the user date and timestamp with those notes. So that way you have complete audit history and visibility of who applied what information at what date and time. I can click on the approve button, confirming I approve that invoice, and then send the document to the approved queue. So that way accounts payable team can start working on processing the payments for that document. That's how easy it can be when it comes to the approval part of the process. And as I mentioned before, we do have a mobile application platform where user can go in and be able to approve those documents on the mobile app itself. End of the day, once the document has been completely approved and processed by accounts payable team, what happens is the document will be sent into Sage Intacct behind the scenes. And once the document has been sent into the Sage Intacct, as a user, I could be in Sage or I could be in DocLink, depending on my access and permissions, I can easily access that document. So here's an example of the invoice that was finally approved and imported into Sage. And as you can see with the Sage Intacct screen here, what we have as part of our integration is the view documents functionality. So in the bottom left here, we've got this view documents button, and using that integration button, it allows user to be able to see the copy of the invoice that's associated to that transaction. So I can easily come here, click on that view documents button, and then be able to see the actual invoice that's associated to that transaction. So I can see what was the copy of the invoice like. If I were to come here and go to the next page, I can see who applied the GL account codes, what date and time it was applied, and what was the information that was applied. I can easily see who approved the document if they put in any kind of notes. So that's part of that complete transparency and complete visibility, especially in the times that we are in. It makes it even more, important and critical to get access to those documents. That's the idea of having, complete access to the information. End of the day, when the payments are processed and the document has been paid, what we will do is we'll capture the proof of payment, the copy of the check in DocLink, and at the same time, we will also update the invoices with the payment information. So that way the user can go in and see all the details using our full text or advanced search functionality. So I can come here, I can select for invoices and check as my document type, be able to enter in any details of the vendor. So let's say I'm looking for anything where we have a word travel as part of the vendor name, or if the invoice vendor name starts with a travel. Those are some of the examples, and hit that search button. System will show me a list of all the documents So here's the list of all the invoices. Without really giving access to the ERP system, we can easily allow users to be able to access those pieces of information rather easily. So that's the beauty of DocLink, and those are some of the common use cases that we have seen with the customers. We do have electronic forms technology that Laura is going to talk about next. And with that, I'm going to sum up my presentation here.
Thank you, Himanshu. Excellent presentation. So we're going to pass it back. All right. So but you can just see a brief demonstration of how DocLink can be used to help streamline and automate your AP process. There's a lot of more features and functionality associated, but that will be can be demonstrated at a later time. So at the end of the day is, wanted to share with you, there are many customers using our system for AP automation, but I want to share this new sample case with you is this client here, Agora Publishing. They're an international publishing company, and being their public entity, they get regular audits. 1 year, they were audited and request a whole bunch of documents, associated with these $1 million spending. They couldn't produce all the documents requested. So they were penalized $110,000 because they were not able to produce all the documents. Or how many time, think about your organization. How much time are you spending staff time to look for documents, searching for documents, to comply with the audit requirements? So because of the CFO at Agora company, it was determined never to pay that kind of fee again. They went out looking for a AP automation solution. They actually looked at several solutions, end up with DocLink, and today their number of audits have reduced. Their staff actually not spending time finding documents anymore because they've been using it for so long. They know how the system works. They actually just created a login for auditors and give them the auditors certain permission, and the auditors goes in and do their own searching of documents. So moving on, another example we want to share with you is account receivable. The benefit with DocLink is once you own our system, starting from any department, I'm going to promise you that the other departments going to see how efficient they are, how fast they're able to access the information. They're going to want to go paperless as well. So the benefit with DocLink is once you have it, you can then expand it to other business units using the same tools that we're sharing with you today. DocLink is fully expandable and very modular. So we have all the tools to help you to meet your company-wide department's requirements. So another very popular use of DocLink is in accounts receivable. Because today you're, not only from just the AR invoice, from the processing of from quoting all the way down to the payment stage. But one of the areas that's very popular is you're creating an AR invoice. And just last week, where I had an Intech customer said, when we send our AR invoice, we need to attach the expense receipt for that particular job or project, okay? Or that we need to attach a copy of the purchase order with that invoice or a contract and so forth. So how can we help? All you have to do is to create the AR invoice in Intech. DocLink will capture a copy of it, store that into DocLink. At the same time, it's going to go and look for those, what we call supplemental documents, and automatically email it out to your customer for you. So by using an automated delivery tool for accounts receivable is that it get the invoice to your client, on a timely manner. Okay, it's able to attach supplemental documents for you, so you don't have to get off your chair, go look for it, scan it, copy, and so on. Okay? And if customers, if you want to have a customer portal where customer can go in and search for their own documents, you can do so as well. So at the end of the day, you just create an AR invoice, the system takes over and does the rest for you. So it automatically sends out an email to your customer for you. We can customize, the email body here, okay? But attached to that email, we include the invoice, maybe, the signed delivery ticket or copy of the purchase order or the expense receipt. Another request just came yesterday where the client asked is, our customer, we have an automated payment portal for our customer. So how can we include a link to this email? So yes, is when you send out an email invoice to your customer, we can include a link embedded into that email. So when they click on that link, it will take you to your payment portal where you want your customer to pay. Once you have this tool, this automated delivery tool, it can be used for the automated delivery of other types of documents as well, like your purchase order to your vendors, or if you do quotes or for your customer, that could also any document generate in-house that need to be sent out to your customers or vendor. It can be done automatically. Okay. Here's just another example. Just Tyler Technologies. Okay. Just on stamp alone, they save $11,000 a year. Now, I know you probably think that's not a lot of money, but think about the paper, the copying, the printing, the staff time of stuffing, the invoice, okay? And the excuse, I didn't get, the invoice never got to my office. Well, now it's email. We have a track record of who was sent to and when. Okay. All right. So another, recently being with COVID, is everyone is working remotely, okay? And yet business is still moving forward. And a lot of requests we get is, well, we have these documents that needs to be signed and executed. And right now is, the manager who's signing it don't have access to a printer or scanners, and because they have to print it out, they have to sign it and scan it back in, then we have to manage and process these contracts. So how can we help? So DocLink can also be used as a contract management system as well. Now, some people may say, you know what, we just need a system to store or execute a contract and able to search for our contract, okay? Imagine a system that can send you auto alert. Hey, Megan, we sent these here are the list of contract that's going to expire 3 months from now. Or here are the list of contract that met its retention period last week. So you might want to purge it from the system to comply. As for searching, with DocLink, you have full text searching capability as well. Imagine going in, find me all the contract anytime the word JMT is mentioned anywhere on a page. It's a very powerful tool. It's not needed or often used in accounts payable, but imagine contracts and instruction manuals and HR files and so on. Then also is you have these live working contracts. Let's say I draft up a contract, it's in Word format. I need to send this to Megan for review and approval, okay? And so with the system, we have version control, check in, check out capability. So workflow will notify Megan. Megan could go in, check that contract out. By checking it out, the system locks that contract so no one else can work on it. They can look at it, they just can't work on it. So she works on it, then she checks it back in, the system will create version number 2, the date and time and who worked on it, and so on and on and on. Finally, when you have the final contract, if you want to go fully paperless, is we are integrated with DocuSign electronic signature as well. So the system can automatically send out that contract to be signed electronically. Once it's been signed, it automatically sent back to DocLink for storage and notify you of the executed contract. This version control is very powerful because it can be used for any types of documents. Word file, Excel file, PowerPoint, video, I'm sorry, not video, but AutoCAD drawing. So we have engineering firms storing their AutoCAD drawings in the system. So you can check it out, make changes to that, that plan, and then check it back in. And then Himanshu mentioned about electronic forms is, for example, you have in-house contracts, okay? We can create a template of your contract forms. so that we can pull data from Intact to autofill the contract for you to help minimize data entry, so that you don't have to deal with PDF file or Word file or people, staff using the same version of the contract. Is using DocLink to create an electronic template of your document. So that's a little bit how we can help, with contract management. Now, being that DocLink is an enterprise document management system, okay? Our security has to be very tight and very granular. We can control the security down by the keystroke. Who can have access to which documents and what can they do in the system? Our security is so tight that it actually helps you comply with HIPAA requirements. And because of that, many of our customers use the system for HR, okay? So here's an example, a Econo supermarket. They are one of the largest supermarket chain in Puerto Rico. When they started using DocLink, they use it for AP automation. But once they understand the power of DocLink, they expanded DocLink to the HR department because they want to be able to track, all the HR files. And when an employee is hired, they have to give out an employee handbook that is 400 pages. Okay, so it's a lot of printing. And so what do? They use DocLink when they have a kiosk in each of the supermarket. When an applicant walks in, they fill out the form electronically through DocLink using our electronic form. When they complete it, workflow send a copy of this form, this job application, to the HR department for review and approval and so on. Once this employee is hired, our system, using the automated delivery tool, will send out a copy of the employee handbook electronically, okay? And also is by them acknowledging, they acknowledge on that email that it was received. And so by the time that they were hired, they already have read the employee handbook. Because right now when you hire new staff, what do they do for the first couple of days or week? They sit there, you're paying them to sit there and read the employee handbooks and the manuals and so on. Well, Econo supermarket, they don't pay, they don't have to pay employees to do that anymore. It's all done before they're hired. Or when you hire a new employee, somebody got to create a key, email, phone, computer, and so on. How do you know that all those tasks been done? DocLink with our workflow can ensure that those tasks are done on a timely manner, okay? Now, if you remember the hurricane hit Puerto Rico a couple of years ago, luckily for our Econo supermarket, now they had a lot of damage, but luckily that they used DocLink for their HR and AP departments, so we were able to restore all their documents from their backup. And that's another reason why you want to go electronic as well and paperless, is all your data is being stored on a server, backups being done. Anything ever happen, we can restore that data for you. So be proactive, don't wait until it's too late. Now, this final example here is expense report and corporate credit card. It's one of my favorite. Why? Because I use it personally, okay? Before, when I travel, I lose my receipt all the time. And with us, when we bill a customer for their project, we have to provide them a copy of receipt. Well, I'm the cause of the problem because I lose my receipt all the time. Well, for me, now I don't have that problem anymore. When I travel, I just pull out my mobile device. And so on my DocLink mobile, notice I can search for my client file. I can, if any orders that came in that's waiting for my approval, I can access this here. But I can also capture document, okay? I can capture receipt. Now you can use it to capture other documents as well. For me, I capture my receipt. Automatically have the company that I belong to, my name, the date, and I just have to type in the dollar amount and select the purpose of the expense. And then it gets uploaded to DocLink, okay? At the end of the week, or when I'm ready, I log into DocLink, the system will create my expense report. The receipt are attached. I can add my mileage and it will auto calculate my mileage for me. And the minute I click submit, workflow will automatically route it to my manager who's always on the road again. And so he can approve off on it instantly from his, instantly. So before it used to take me, gosh, I want to say about 3 hours or so to do expense report because I got to get all my receipt, I got to put them in order, I got to copy it and, and fill it out, everything manually. And then I have to wait for my manager to get back to the office to approve for my expense. So it literally takes me about 2 weeks to get reimbursed. Today, I can really submit my expense report, get it approved, and get it cut to pay on the same day, literally. So those are just two examples of how DocLink can be used within your organization. So how can DocLink impact your organization? Okay, start in one area. Let's walk before you run. Okay, it's challenging enough to get people to get used from a paper to a paperless environment. It is our job to help you go, step by step. But once you have DocLink, is that now you can expand it to other areas within your whole entire organization. Now, with most company is IT, they want everything to store in one place instead of data being in multiple silos. Because users have to learn multiple software. Why not just have one software for them to learn, right? IT have to manage multiple applications. As a company, you have to buy multiple software. So most companies want to have one system to have all the documents centralized, stored in one place, yet you can access it from anywhere around the world. And so these are just a few examples. So why DocLink? It's because we've been around for 30 years. We have a solid, proven system. And we have, over 4,000 clients worldwide using our application. We do not outsource any of our services. We live and breathe DocLink. So our implementation time is very, very fast. So between JMT and Altec, we're going to be supporting you directly, and also Sage as well, because we are Sage Alliance partner. So you have 3 companies that's going to be supporting you and your product, okay, ensuring that you're happy and everything worked and meeting your expectation. Okay, all right. So finally, we want to conclude this presentation just to find out, why did you sign up for this webinar? It's just to learn what's out there. Just because someone made you sit in this presentation, or if they did, there must be a reason, right? They may have heard it from someone or somewhere. There are ways to automate and streamline your process, to able to meet the needs of your remote workforce, and that's why they're having you sitting in this presentation to learn. Maybe you have initiative within your department to streamline our process, okay? So let us know, what area would you like to learn more about? Maybe there are other areas that we have not mentioned today. Okay.
Great, and Laura, I'll go ahead and share the results from the poll, just with the questions that we have. Hopefully you'll all be able to see them now, but you can see for the first question, we have 40% wanted to attend the webinar just to learn more about the benefits of going paperless and automation. That's great. A lot of people are also looking for a solution to meet the needs of their remote workforce. So these are great results. For the second question, we have a good number of people that wanted to, biggest challenges is manual and efficient approval processes, kind of took the top. We had some people say other, but we're kind of all across the board here on challenges. And all these things are things that DocLink can help remedy. So this is great. Really loving these responses. In what departments are you looking to improve or enhance? Majority are all. So that's great results here. And then why do you sign up for the webinar? A lot of people said knowledge building. One person said my boss made me. So I hope that you still got a lot out of the webinar, even though your boss made you. Now some wonderful things to report back to him from the webinar. So yeah, these are the results that we got, Laura.
Well, I would go back to your boss and say, why did you want me to sit in this webinar, right? And because there, there may be areas that your boss is looking to improve and enhance. So we appreciate it. So, like I said, majority of you say, that you need to improve in all areas. So as you can see from our presentation is DocLink is an enterprise document management solution. We can help you in all areas, any areas that have documents and information that needs to be processed and managed, okay? At the end of the day, you could be sitting at your chair at home and you're outside your pool and still be working and accessing the documents and information and approve off on those. So at this time I want to go ahead and open up for any for Q&A, any questions that you would like to ask.
great. So Laura, it looks like we don't have any questions as of now, and we are about at the top of the hour here, so we don't have a lot of time left. But I wanted you do have a slide with some contact information, correct? Great, yeah. So we did want to know if you did have any questions following, or you wanted to learn more about DocLink or Altec. We do have Laura's information down there. We'd love for you to reach out to her directly with any additional questions you may have, as well as, you know, any ways you want to get some further information about DocLink. Laura, this is good information to reach you at, right?
Oh, absolutely. And I also want to add, you know, being that in the current situation that we are finding many customers needing a solution quickly. And as part of our initiative to help businesses is, you know, we are, you know, extending, I want to say discount and figure out ways how we can help organizations to meet their requirements and able to meet their budget at the same time. So, you know, please talk to JMT, talk to us, and we are here for you. I mean, we're you know, we're not Microsoft. We're big enough to provide you with the state-of-the-art solution, but we're small enough to be flexible and work with you and accommodate your needs.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome. And we also have a contact from JMT up here. So if you wanted to get in contact with us, we can put you in contact with Altec. It was great. Laura, Himanshu, I just want to thank you so much for your presentation today. You gave so much helpful advice and showing off some really, really cool features of DocLink that I think will be really helpful to a lot of organizations and a lot of people who are on the webinar today. I'm sure got a lot of great information. So thank you both so much. We really appreciate you being here and leading us in that presentation. I know we are a little bit over time, so I want to be respectful of everyone's time today, but just wanted to thank you all again. Thank you everyone who attended today. I mean, we do hope that everyone is staying safe, staying healthy. Just enjoying your time home with your families as much as you can be during this time. So again, thank you everyone for being here. Thank you, Laura and Himanshu, and we hope that everyone has a great rest of their day.
Thank you, Megan, and thank you, JMT. Take care.
Yes, thank you. Bye, everyone.